Welcome. Welcome, everybody, to the live. Today, you are stepping into your power and embracing your magical self, owning your witch power. So, that's what we're talking about today. Welcome to those of you on the live. Welcome to those of you watching the replay. What we're going to be doing today is really doing a deep dive into what may be stopping you from truly embracing your inner witch, feeling confident as a witch, feeling fulfilled in your life being a witch and practicing the craft. What's even stopping you from practicing the craft? We're going to talk about all of the things that may be in your way of really owning your witch. And owning your witch doesn't mean you've got to flaunt it everywhere. If you're in an environment where that's not safe to do so, then you can still keep yourself hidden, but within yourself, you are feeling confident as a witch. So, welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sandra. I've been working with witches now for over 10 years. I've been practicing the craft for 35 years, and the witches that I help are witches that are often new to the craft who are struggling to start a practice and know where to start, what to do, and to integrate magic into their lives on a daily basis. So I help people do that. I help you integrate magic and ritual and all of the practices of connecting to spirit, connecting to yourself on a daily basis so that this becomes your way of life. It becomes a part of who you are and the way you express yourself and the way that you connect to the joy in life through the craft. And in the 35 years that I've been practicing, I've discovered that I had a lot of things that were in the way of me truly claiming my inner witch as well. And so I want to share with you some of the things that I've had to do to overcome that, as well as other people that I've worked with and how they've handled the same situation. So, welcome, Shannon. Hi, Dwight and James as well. Merry meet, everybody. Merry meet. So, if you've ever felt unsure about calling yourself a witch, whether that's because it doesn't feel safe or it's just simply you're worried about what other people would think of you if they knew that you were calling yourself a witch, or maybe you just don't think you're good enough to be called a witch. If you're in any of those categories, or even maybe others I haven't mentioned, then this video live stream is definitely for you. We're going to explore what it really means to step into your magical self, the challenges that you're going to have when you first start doing that, and what is holding you back, most likely, and some practical ways that you can then start embodying your inner witch right away. So by the end of that, you're going to feel more confident, you're going to feel more empowered, and you're going to be ready to fully own your magic. So, welcome, Lola. How are you? So, when I first started practicing witchcraft, I wasn't too concerned about calling myself a witch or not calling myself a witch. I was more into the idea that I was practicing witchcraft, so therefore I'm a witch. And that made logical sense to me. I didn't question how I felt about it. I just knew that I was practicing witchcraft, so therefore, technically speaking, I'm a witch. And I've known other people, though, who have struggled with calling themselves a witch when they first start practicing because they don't feel like a witch when they're just learning how to do their very first spell or just learning how to do the very first ritual. Often people will think they need to be studying witchcraft for a long period of time in order to call themselves a witch. And I guess in the sense of really owning your witch power, you do have to be practicing for a while to get confident with your witch power. But technically speaking, from a linguistic point of view, if you're practicing witchcraft, then you could be called a witch, the same as a dancer who is dancing is a dancer. So technically, if you're practicing witchcraft, in that moment that you're practicing witchcraft, you kind of are a witch. It doesn't mean that you do it all the time. It just means that you do it when you're doing magic or anything like that. But for a lot of us, the word witch is something that feels like home to us. It's something that feels like it has a lot of meaning and resonates with our past, so past lives where we may have been persecuted, present life where we may not be allowed to practice because of all of the negative associations with the word witch and with witchcraft and magic itself. So, claiming your witch identity isn't about actually doing anything perfectly either. It's not about being the perfect spellcaster. It's not about having your spells work every time. It's not about being clairvoyant. It's not about being able to read the tarot well. All of these things are, some of them are natural for some people, people who are naturally more clairvoyant than other people. When it comes to tarot, that's something you can learn to do, and as far as spellcasting is concerned, that's also something you can learn to do. And I think every human being has the ability to be able to co-create with the universe and use manifestation techniques, which magic is a part of that. And so we're all magical beings. So everyone has the ability to be able to do magic. It's just owning that and allowing yourself to have the permission to be magical. Okay, excited about your video. Awesome, Lola. I have called myself a witch 2 or 3 years, but it's sporadic that I embody it. Okay, well, here's some questions then. Just take a moment right now, just reflect for a minute. Have you ever felt doubt about you being a witch before? What makes you question your identity as a witch? So just hold that thought. What is it that is having you either doubt yourself as a witch, or maybe you're not so concerned about your identity as a witch, but more the case of your ability as a witch? Uh, do you feel any doubt in regards to that? So hold that thought. Now, for those of you who are new to witchcraft, if you're feeling called to step into your witch identity, but you're just not sure where to start, I do invite you to the How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice Masterclass. It's a free masterclass. And in this guide, I help beginners step by step know how to build an empowered witchcraft practice. So you learn how to find the right starting point, which is a really difficult thing to do because no one really helps you know where to start. So I tell you where to start, what to begin with, and overcoming the self-doubt and fear that blocks new witches, and that's just simply you don't know where to start and you don't know how to pace yourself and what to do next. It's designed to help you feel more inspired and ready to take action on learning the craft so that you've got a little roadmap there that you can use to help you navigate your way through all of the information out there. So that's the How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice Masterclass. I'm putting a link in the chat. And there's also a link in the description field below this video. You can also find it on my website, mysterywitchschool.com. I'm also the author of Crafting Your Wiccan Path, which is on Amazon. So if you want to read my book, Crafting Your Wiccan Path, I've also got the link in the description field below this video as well. And you'll also find it on my website under, I think it's called My Books, which is, yeah, it says it all. Okay. Hi, Shannon. I've been practicing witchcraft for about 5 years, but I don't call myself a witch. I don't know what people would call me. I haven't figured that out yet. Okay. Best place to start is where you are. Absolutely. You do have to start where you are. You can't start anywhere else. Okay. So let's do that deep dive into understanding your inner witch. So, what does it actually mean to claim your inner witch? I mean, at its core, it's just really aligning your sense of self with your magical potential and with all of your potential, actually. Magic is about life, it is our creative beingness. And when you're connecting to your inner witch, you're connecting to that part of you that is very creative and that has the ability to be able to create the life you want to live or step into that timeline you want to step into to be able to, transurf reality, whatever the we call it, and the names keep changing all the time. It's about creating your reality and changing the way you perceive the world and having the experiences that you wanna have and having the life you wanna have. And that is why you have to really connect with the feeling of being that person who can do those things. And recognizing that magic isn't, it isn't something that you have to prove, it's a part of who you are. Yet, the ego will most likely want it to you to prove it to yourself, and maybe other people may also want you to prove it to them as well. But here's some key things here. Your identity, how you relate to yourself, how you identify yourself, how you feel about yourself when you hear your name. When you hear your name, does it make you cringe? Does it make you feel uh, s- less than, smaller than, or does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel confident? Because we tend to associate our identity with our name because that's what we've been called our whole lives. And one of the reasons why we choose a witch name when we come to the craft is to try and get away from that old identity for a while anyway, so that we can step into that witch self and be whoever your witch name is. Eventually you integrate it all, but at first you can step into that version of you by giving that witch part of you a different name to your normal everyday name. It really just depends on how you relate to your name. Often we'll identify ourselves as being a particular way. You may say that, you're a shy person or you're an outgoing person or you're this person or that person. And these are things that you've grown up being told or you've assumed because of your environment. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stay being that version of you don't want to be. And often these labels we give ourselves actually stop us from being able to explore life in the way we really want to explore it. So, for example, one of my issues that I had to deal with my whole life was social anxiety and being shy. And I always used this belief that I'm not an outgoing person, therefore I cannot succeed in the world. Because to succeed in the world, you need to be outgoing and extroverted and a people person and all bubbly and all of that kind of thing, which isn't my sort of nature or personality type most of the time. I'm incredibly introverted. So I'm not social that much. I need my me time and I tend to be more, being an introvert, I tend to be more introspective in my thinking, so I'm not out there. I'm in here a lot of the time. So I had this belief that I couldn't achieve anything because I wasn't extroverted enough, I wasn't outgoing enough, I wasn't talkative enough. And yes, people do tend to gravitate towards the people who are outgoing and talkative and bubbly and all of those kinds of things. But that didn't mean that I didn't have those aspects within me. I just wasn't allowing those aspects to come out because I believed I didn't have them. Yet, when I was with friends going out, there's my cat, uh, I could be that kind of person, even if it was only for a small period of time. So these are the kinds of things I mean by identity, where you're identifying things about yourself which aren't necessarily true or true all the time. They may be aspects of you, but there's also other aspects of you as well. And when you're stepping into the witch part of yourself, you've got to start embracing the part of you that's actually quite powerful, that part of you that can navigate your way through life in the fashion you would like to navigate your life. And you may have something telling you in your personal sense of self that you can't do that, that you're not the person or kind of person who can have that or do that, because that's what you grew up believing, either through being told that, which a lot of us have been, or assuming it by just putting two and two together as a child and coming up with that assumption. So, seeing yourself as a witch is going to influence how confident you feel and how your magic flows. So, just start noticing your thoughts about yourself. Are they empowering or are they holding you back? And if they're holding you back, that's okay. Don't fret. You don't have to try and bully your way out of it. You just have to listen to that part of you that's holding you back. Listen to what it's saying, listen to what it's protecting you from, and then taking it from there. And I'll talk about that later. So just have another reflection. You just take a moment to write down one belief that you may have about yourself as a witch that isn't supporting you or that's limiting you in some way. It might be, I'm crap at magic, or I'm really terrible at doing money magic, or I'm I'm scared what people are going to say if they know that I'm a witch, that kind of thing. So write that down. And I also want to let you know too that if you want to support the channel, there's super chat and super thanks there as well. So I'm just going to move on to number 2. Now, when you're first starting out in the craft, or even if you've been in the craft for a while, the challenges are normal. Every witch has got to start somewhere. And as we said in the comments, start where you are. So feeling uncertain, comparing yourself to others, comparisonitis, or doubting your abilities is actually part of the process in the very beginning. You probably notice that with anything that you begin, anything that you start, that you may be nervous in doing it because there's a part of you that's saying, oh, what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? If I fail, then that means I'm not good enough. And we've been terrified of failing through the education system. And so we carry that with us into adult life. And every time we fail, often that actually stops us from picking ourselves up, dusting ourselves off, and starting all over again, which is what we kind of need to do when we fail. We need to see how we failed and try something different, or try a different approach when we fail, so that we eventually succeed. And we're going to fail more often than we succeed often. So it's very normal to feel a little bit hesitant about practicing the craft, because you may be afraid of failing, and you may also be afraid of succeeding as well. One of the most terrifying things for any of us is the connection to our true power. If we really connect to how powerful we are, it's terrifying. It's one of the levels you have to go through when you're doing identity shifting or inner work. You have to come up to that ceiling where it's so terrifying to step into your power that it can often cause a real dark night of the soul, because you get so far in your inner work and then you've got to face how powerful you are. And that's really terrifying for a lot of us, because we've been told we're not powerful. We've been told to feel shame around wanting power, to be powerful, to feel shame about believing we're powerful. And that comes through culture and also through religion as well. So, there's my cat again. Yeah, you want to go out? Can you wait? So you've got to start somewhere, and you don't need to have everything. You don't need to have all the tools. You don't need to have all the knowledge, and you don't need to perform spells perfectly. Just be you, doing the best that you can as you're doing it. Okay. Merry meet to everybody. Hi, Fortunate Fool, 777. I have 3 names that represent different facets of myself. Awesome. I was once on a live streaming platform and had a different name for that, and I am known by a lot of friends from then by that name. And I evolved that, and I consider that my magical name. Awesome. I found that if you leave time after failing at something and go back and try, knowing that the world didn't end, you do better. Awesome. Yes, because the world often will not end if you fail. And sometimes it's good to leave it for a little bit so that you can come back at it refreshed, or just simply go, okay, that didn't work. What can I learn from that? What you've learned from it is how something doesn't work, and that's really valuable to learn how it can work in the future. Okay. So number 3 is the small actions are what create the shift in identity. You don't have to be doing, big elaborate spells. Small actions to start off with, and just repeating these things consistently. So that help you actually embody your magical self. So, for example, starting with a daily practice. Now, I'm a big believer in practicing on a daily basis because it's a way of rewriting the program. The regularity is important for us to change our subconscious mind and get our subconscious mind used to the new way of doing things. And a daily practice, being a habit, is a way of doing that. And it ends up becoming a subconscious habit. And when you stop doing it, you start to notice it. You notice things in your life just aren't as smooth or as don't feel as good when you stop doing a daily practice when you've been doing it for a while. And what the daily practice does is it helps you connect to your witchcraft practice. It helps you connect to your inner witch and also to the deities as well. In the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy, which is my course on witchcraft, we have different modules and different aspects are within the module. There's a module where you do go in and explore your inner witch and have that as part of the daily practice so that you're building on that every day. When you do your daily practice, you are stepping into that confident witch version of yourself and learning more about who that witch version of yourself is and who you are when you step into that version of you. So, a daily practice is a great place to start. That could involve simply lighting a candle, invoking the goddess and god, and meditating for 10 minutes, or imagining yourself stepping into the version of you, your inner witch. You may imagine that inner witch, your true witch, is actually standing in front of you, and take notice of them, what they're wearing, what they're doing, and then step into that version of you and experience what that feels like to be that person. And if you're doing that on a daily basis, you start to take on that that identity or that aspect of your identity. One really great way to work with this too is journaling about your magical experiences and keeping a record of what you felt when you were doing a particular magical rite or even a daily practice, what doubts were in your head when you were performing the spell. You might perform a spell and you know that there's a belief there that's going, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? What if it doesn't work out? I'm no good at this. I'm not good enough. It's not going to work. Record all of those negative thoughts so that you're aware of them. You need to see them before you can work with them. And just uncover what you're telling yourself and what you're saying to yourself. And when it comes to stepping into your magical self, ask yourself these questions. Is it possible for me to be this magical self? Is it possible for me to be the witch I know myself to be? Is it possible? And if you're not getting too much negative uh, tail enders after you say that, if it is possible for you, if you feel, well, it is possible for me, other people do it. So if other people can do it, then I can do it too. Then you move on to the next question. What would I need to do, be, or have to fully embrace my inner witch? So, what would you need to do to fully embrace your inner witch? And what's uncomfortable about that? If you're procrastinating about starting a witchcraft practice or studying witchcraft more, what is that procrastinating protecting you from? So often when we have a saboteur or we're procrastinating about something, it's because there's a part of us that doesn't believe that it's safe to do what it is we're trying to pursue. And one of those beliefs could simply be, well, if I'm going to study the craft, that means I have to give up some time. And if I give up some time, that means I won't have time for other things that I enjoy doing. And so there may be a part of you that doesn't want to give up that time because it thinks that it's going to have to give up all of that time. And it's protecting you from giving some of your sense of freedom away, perhaps, to studying the craft. So you need to find out what it is that's stopping you from doing it so that you can then reconcile that. I find that doing the work that I do in my business has been something that I've had to reconcile as well, because there's also a part of me that likes my freedom and wanting to do other things with my time. And so I've had to work at reconciling the two, because the part of me wants to work in my business, but there's also another part of me that wants to do other things as well. And how do I reconcile that? Because until I do that, there's gonna be a discomfort and a bit of a tug-of-war between feeling guilt about not working in the business or feeling like I've got this heavy burden on my shoulders because I have to work in my business because this other part of me is telling me that it's not safe to give my time to it. So it's all this weird stuff that goes on in our head that feels real, but they're just beliefs. And when you see what those beliefs are, what are those beliefs protecting you from? You may find that you're not starting your witchcraft practice because there's a part of you that's afraid of what being a witch would mean. Maybe you've grown up in an Abrahamic religion where witchcraft has been seen as being a very negatively a very evil religion. And so there may be a part of you that believes that if you practice the craft, that means you're an evil person. And even though you don't believe that consciously, and you know it doesn't make sense from what you know, there's still a part of you that may believe that. So you may have to work with that belief and try and find a way of reconciling that or changing that belief. So you can use statements such as, "What if I am a witch and I can be safe at the same time? What if I am a witch and I can still be a good person?" Saying those sorts of identity statements, the I am statements, is really, really powerful. And if there is any fear associated with what you're doing, at the end of the affirmation, just put "and be safe at the same time." So you're telling your subconscious mind that it can still keep you safe, but it can keep you safe as you're being a witch at the same time. I know you want to go out. Why don't you come here? You come here. You want to come here? My cat wants to go out, but it's really wet out there. And she's going to want to come back in again as soon as I put her out. Okay. Just go back to the comments again. Um, Consistency is a problem. I think I get caught up thinking it takes a lot, but a candle in 10 minutes is doable. Absolutely. Yes, that's all it takes. The journaling, yeah, some people don't like journaling. I'm not a big journaler, but I do find that if I allow myself just to do a verbal spew in the journal, that I do learn a lot about what's holding me back and what's in the way. So I do find that can be really helpful, and it's also getting your body involved in the process too of writing, and that's an important way to access the subconscious mind through your body. You could also talk into your phone as well and record what you're saying. That could be another way around it if you don't like writing or can't write. Um, Fear of losing control, that's a common fear, absolutely. Yes. I need all my time to dedicate to avoiding what I need to do. When you see your magic work, it is a powerful thing. Absolutely. It is a powerful thing. And always record your magical successes because it only takes one failure for you to then believe that you're a failure, even though you may have heaps and heaps of successes. We tend to be naturally inclined to go towards the negative than the positive, and that's a survival instinct. So it's instinctive for us to do that. So we're kind of going against our instincts when we're focusing on what we want and on being the the version of us that we really want to be. And I have been in the school 3 months, and it's really helped me. Awesome, big crone energy. From cult to living freely, cook with intention. That's a simple way to practice. Absolutely. So if you're a kitchen witch, then cooking in what you do in the kitchen is a part of your craft as well. Everything you do in your life can be a spiritual practice. And if you think of the things that you're doing in your life as part of your witchcraft practice, you know, if you're working, part of your working, if you're looking after the family, doing that, cooking, cleaning, whatever, that can be part of a spiritual practice because we are spiritual beings. So we can be practicing our spirituality and really connecting to our inner witch all of the time. You know, when you're doing the dishes, when you're cleaning your teeth, you can always be connecting with who you really are. Okay. Now, I did have a student once who just did that simple thing that was said in the comments where, you know, she just lit a candle every morning with the intention of stepping into that version of her. Really simple. I am magical. I am magical. What if I am magical and I can be safe at the same time? That was the beginning. After she got comfortable with that, the I am statement, I am magical. I am a magical person. That statement, the I am statement, is a magical statement. When you say I am in front of anything, you are stating your identity. So watch what you're saying I am when you say I am. And that's where those negative beliefs come in. I am not an outgoing person. Uh, is that true all the time? Probably not. There are times when I can be very outgoing. Beliefs that I am not good enough. There are times when you are good enough. So focus on the I am magical, I am a powerful witch, whatever you want, whatever resonates with you. Take that into your morning practice with you. Because when she did that, she actually started to feel a deeper connection with the practice. And, even within rituals and with everything, that started to creep into her everyday life. And the most powerful way is to actually visualize and act as your empowered self. As silly as you may feel at first, just imagine the version of you who is fully embracing their magic. What do they look like? How are they being confident? They're being intuitive, feeling connected, and take small steps every day to act like that version of yourself. It may just simply be looking out the window and imagining that you are that version of you looking out the window. How does that version of you, your inner witch, see the world compared to how you see the world? If you're a powerful, confident, intuitive person, how do you see the world differently when you look out the window to how you see the world now? And there will be a difference. They will see the world differently. So visualize and act as the powerful witch. It's a great way then to also find the negative beliefs because they will come rushing at you, such as a belief like, who do you think you are to think you're a powerful witch? Or that's just your ego talking, or, wanting power is bad, being powerful isn't spiritual. Uh, all those sorts of beliefs may come rushing at you when you claim that. And that's a good thing because you need to know they're there in order to change them and work with them so that they're no longer holding you back. And those beliefs will be trying to protect you in some way. The belief that spiritual people shouldn't want power. Well, what do you mean by power in the first place? I'm talking about feeling empowered and having power over your own life and your own experiences. What is it, the negative belief protecting you from? Well, you probably have a belief that people who have power are bad, and so it's protecting you from being a bad person, or people who have power are sinners, so it's protecting you from that. And so it's just that self-exploration to find out what it is that you're telling yourself. Where did those beliefs most likely originate? Upbringing, most likely. Are they true? Do you want them to be true? Do they really feel true? If you put your hand on your heart, do they actually feel true in your heart, or do they just feel true in your nervous system? Because they're living in your nervous system. If you follow your heart may disagree with those beliefs. You may put your hand on your heart and know that witches aren't evil, okay? But you may still have the belief that witchcraft is evil because of your upbringing. So it'll feel different when you tune into your heart than just tuning into the feeling in general. So what we'll do is just a really short mini exercise just to get you starting to claim your witch identity. So if you want to, and if you're able to, you're not driving or anything like that, just close your eyes and just take a nice deep breath in and letting it out and just allowing your body to relax. And just imagining the version of yourself who fully embraces their magical identity. They're in front of you. and just notice how they move, notice how they speak, notice how they carry themselves, and just watch them. And just say to yourself, I am a witch. I am magical. As you're watching yourself. Now, at first, that may be where you want to leave it, but the goal is to then step into that version of you and see the world from their eyes. You're the one moving the way they're moving. You're the one speaking the way they're speaking, and you're the one carrying yourself the way that they were carrying themselves. And how does that feel in your physical body right here, right now? Because it will change the way you're sitting or standing, and it will change the way that you'll feel when you step into them. Once again, there may be some negative self talk that comes in the form of resistance. So, any resistance to this kind of work is just that negative self talk coming through, giving you all of the reasons why it's not safe to step into your magical self. It's just trying to protect you, and you can get curious about what it's trying to protect you from. And when you know what it's trying to protect you from, you can then look at the advantages of actually feeling into your inner witch and practicing the craft, and then reconciling the two, or just changing the belief that's not helpful if that's the case. And then just reflect on one small action that you can take today to align with this version of you. It could be lighting a candle, it could be doing some journaling, or it could just be putting your hand on your heart and asking yourself the question, is the craft for me? What does the craft mean to me? And how do I feel about stepping into my witch self? And just feel yourself stepping into that identity. Because this is the practice of claiming your witch self, and it's about consistency. So, doing this every day will help you gain more confidence and step more into that version of you. Okay. So, just have a quick talk about what some people face, the challenges that people face when they're doing this kind of work, and how you can overcome those challenges. One is comparing yourself to other people, comparisonitis. Every witch has their own path, and your journey is actually unique to you, and your magic is going to flow how it flows for you. So focus on your growth and don't focus on anybody else's. it's it's your path. Walk your path. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't feel you've got to copy exactly what other people are doing, and know that you can be your witch self however you are. You don't have to dress a certain way. You don't have to talk a certain way. You don't have to eat a certain way. You don't have to even adhere to the same types of ways of practicing as everybody else. There's a strong element of individuality in the craft. A lot of people fear not being enough, so feeling like you're not a real witch or worthy is pretty common, so find out what you're telling yourself, and then say to yourself, "What if I am good enough at being a witch, and I can be safe at the same time?" There's overwhelm with all of the information out there, so there's a lot to learn, so start small and pick something that resonates with you. If you're looking at that free masterclass, How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice, I always start with energy work. So, starting to work with energy is one of the first places you should start. In the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy, we start with energy work because that's what you're dealing with. We are all energy, everything is energy. So, starting with energy work is the place to start with that. And then you can build on working with deities or starting to introduce yourself to the god and goddess. Then you could work on learning how to cast a circle and understanding the elements, and then work from that to maybe doing some magic, and then looking at the next what's the next Sabbath that's coming along, and start to learn about the Sabbats, pacing yourself that way. A lot of witches doubt their abilities as well, so it's not about perfection. It's about how you apply yourself and your focus and your connection more than anything. So claiming which identity isn't about rushing either, so just taking your time, it's a process. So just small steps every day. Okay, just go back to the chat before we go on. I've got a lot of half prepared workings. Okay. Uh, I've been in this. Okay, I've already read that one. Watched a video about sigils. I was happy to discover I already knew everything and confident that I can do it myself. Awesome. Fake it till you make it. Witches aren't evil any more than people are, and I think there are a lot of more evil non-witches. There, yeah, people. There's evil people, and as witches are people, there's probably evil witches too. But that doesn't mean all people are evil or all witches are evil. I'm stubborn, so I will get there. Do you need to put the tarot cards in order before you shuffle to ask a question every single time you ask a question? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The cards come in their pack in order, and that's generally the last time you'll ever see them in order again. Because you're always constantly shuffling them, unless you're learning them. Some some tarot courses get you to lay the cards out in order to learn them that way, but generally speaking, they come organized, and then you'll never see them organized again after that. Okay. So if you are ready to move past the beginner phase and you want to take on the challenges of stepping into your inner witch and step into your power as a witch, I do want to invite you to join the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. This is the 12-month course that I run to actually help people transform into their true witch self, so that you're not just trying to fumble around trying to figure out what witches do. You're actually stepping into who you are as a witch because you're practicing every day with very clear step-by-step guidance and building a confident practice because you'll know what it is that you're actually doing and feeling empowered from that practice. You get support in overcoming any of the fears that are in your way. I give you tools to work with the self-doubt and the overwhelm that you may find in the craft. I slow it down so that you're learning in a way that actually works with how the brain actually learns things and not trying to rush things. You learn what you need to learn, you practice it for a whole month before you get to move on to the next thing. It's a process called scaffolding in education, and it's the best way to learn. There's lots of practical rituals there for you to practice with. There's exercises and there's lessons to also help you claim your witch identity fully, so that you're not just learning the craft, you're not just doing spells and rituals, you're actually stepping into your inner witch. So that's the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. And you also get with that a free course called The Witch's Guide to Magic, and that has 100 spells that you are really, really simple for beginners that you can use for love and romance, money, prosperity, healing and wellness, as well as defense and protection magic as well. So that is a free course that's got 5 modules in it. It comes free with the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. So you're getting 2 courses for the price of one. There's also another bonus course, which is that 5-day practice I was talking about. It also comes as a free bonus in the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy as well. So there's a lot of value in that course. And if that's the only course you ever want to do on witchcraft, that would be uh, as far as stepping into your witch self and feeling like a witch, then that's a course to do. Okay. Let's go back to the comments because I think there's a few more. Would you recommend Evoking Eternity by Hekate if you have heard of it? No, I haven't heard of that one. My local coven is now making all their Sabbats open to everyone. That'll be great. Yes, it's all of our Sabbats were open to the public in my first coven. And the second coven too, actually, were both open to the public, so the public get an idea of what it is we actually do. So it is a way of educating the public and letting them know that we're not, these scary creatures they think that we are. Okay, so just to recap, claiming your witch identity is a journey. It's not a destination. The more you practice embodying your magical self, the more you're going to feel it, and the more you're going to feel that confident, empowered self. So ask yourself what action you can take today, or at least this week, to step more fully into your witch identity. It could just be that lighting a candle and journaling for 10 minutes, or meditating for 10 minutes, or just speaking your truth with confidence. Okay. So, yeah, let me know what happens in the comments underneath this video. If you want to come back and comment about your experiences with experimenting with stepping into your inner witch, I would love to hear about them. Okay, everybody, thank you very much for coming along today. I will see you again next week for another live, and blessed be.